everyone. Nice to meet you again. I see in my box that Dora is here and Handsome Sami. Very nice name. I'm Emmerich, and I hope to entertain you a little bit today with the presentation about the Mihealth. I've got a lot of information, so I hope you can all use it uh, forever what you want to do with that information. I wanted to start with a presentation, a Prezi presentation, and then after 1 hour, we have 5 minutes rest, and then I will use a PowerPoint presentation to go more into what the Mihealth is and how to use it. So there's some general information to start with, and then and of course I will tell what you can do with it and how it's working, and then in the last bit I will give more information in how the device works. So I hope you will have a lot of fun. First I'm going to try to bring up the presentation. I've been
Emmerich,
something.
it's Olga. Just wanted to let you, Emmerich,
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know that your presentation is uploaded on YouTube. So if you want to start with it, you can start with it.
Ah, that's good. That's good. Then it's better to start with
So let's do that.
the film. Yeah, let's do that. And I will close this one again.
Okay.
So can you start the
Okay,
film? Then we
that's great.
start with a small film from about 3 minutes, which is going to be about torodial fields. It's Nassim Harawain who will talk about the field, in which I will come to it later again. So please have fun. I will close down my video.
What's in the middle? What's in the middle of a torus? What's in the middle of a donut? The hole, right, is space, the vacuum. And this is why the vacuum connects all things, because the vacuum divides not with the complete boundary of a sphere, but with a torus, in which the vacuum is at the center of every object, where you'd expect singularity, infinite density of a black hole, but instead it's the vacuum which is infinitely dense, and that connects all things. It explained many different things, including the way magnetic fields are produced and where the origin of spin was. Not only is spin inherent to the structure of space itself, but it is prevalent at all levels if the structure of the vacuum acts like a fluid, acts like water going down the drain. We know that the electron and the positron exchange and disappear and reappear and disappear and reappear. It seems to exchange across the vacuum. That is, the vacuum fluctuates, produces an electron and fluctuates, and then the electron disappears. The electron carries the information from the material world to the vacuum, informs the vacuum, and then the vacuum informs back the material world when the electron comes back out. And so we actually are constantly appearing and disappearing at a very rapid rate, at the speed of light. Did you know that half the time you're the vacuum? Who are you when you're the vacuum? And what are you saying to the rest of the universe when you're informing the vacuum? From this model of the double torus, we started to have an understanding of why consciousness emerges. consciousness demands feedback. In order for you to be self-aware, you must know that you exist. Thus, it demands feedback. This structure of the double torus allows for the feedback between what's coming from the outside that's going back to the inside, informing the vacuum, coming back out the outside, and as it comes back out the outside, the vacuum informs us of the result of the information present in the vacuum. It is an exchange between your internal understanding and experience of the universe and the relationship of all the understandings put together in the vacuums affecting yours. So you're not creating your reality, you are co-creating your reality with everybody else.
This is what I wanted to start with, and it's about what the Mihealth is doing. And so I will refer to this video later when it's appearing in the presentation. Thank you very much, Olga, for uploading it to YouTube, because we couldn't bring it from my computer to your screen. So now I'm going to use the Prezi. See if I did everything right. First, put this one down here so I can see what I'm doing. And now we go to this one and start to present. There it is. So, put down this one. With something strange happening. I have to go to the first part. There it is. Yes. Okay, now we can start. I want to talk to you about a human light system in which we can change, which we can try to influence with a NES Mihealth. It's a very powerful and very exciting device. But before we're going to talk about it, I've been working for 4 years now with the NES Mihealth, and I was the first one in Holland to use it and to experiment with it. And experimenting is also a very strange word if you use a device on people. Still, I thought it's experimenting because I didn't know what electromagnetic fields could do in healing with a powerful device like this. Oh, I see Mavilde is coming too. Very nice to meet you, Mavilde. If we know that our body is 100 billion cells, and in all those billion cells are so many processes, then it's very strange if we could know what electromagnetic fields really could do. So it always is an experience to use devices like, for example, a Mihealth and see what it's doing. And I used it for not only people, but I used it also with a lot of animals. And of course, animals don't lie. So when you have a device like this, and the animal is responding to a frequency with an information pattern, then it's great to see what's happening. Electromagnetic fields are information fields, very young information fields. and also very old information fields. Okay, I shall try to talk a bit louder. Is this better? Maybe I have to shout more. I will talk a bit louder. Okay. Electromagnetic fields are in different frequencies. And for example, the only part we can see is the visible light, which is 10 to the minus 4 or 10 to the minus 7, in which we can see. That's a very, very, very small part of the electromagnetic field spectrum. And of course, we know this, but still our conscious mind always thinks that the things we can see are real and the things we can't hear are not there. You, of course, know there's more and more that influences us. And a lot of people nowadays are very scared about Wi-Fi and about all sort of radiation. Not every radiation is giving complaints. We are frequencies. We are light. We are special information. And that special information is sometimes not really in order. So what I want you to do is take you on a journey in what Peter Fraser found out in all that specific information patterns. And then you have to talk about torodial fields, in which you saw the video of a very good film, which is called The Hole. And the hole is a hole with a W before it. And this was a very small part. Hello, Karen. Nice you could join us. The Hole was a very a big film which brings a lot of information about how this toroidal field is around everything, around planets, around humans, around objects. It's everywhere. And that toroidal field is filled with information which makes our physical body real. And what for me was always a very curious thing is what Nassim said, what we can see is there, but in some parts of the time we are somewhere else. And that's something I'm still curious about. Where are we when we're in the other part in which we cannot see? So what are fields? What are fields, toroidal fields? I've got a small part of this presentation which is going about the fields. For example, this is what we learned in physics. We have frequencies, and the things I learned about physics is that a frequency is just something in a two-dimensional part. And a two-dimensional part is, for example, not the things we can see. We live in a 3, 4, 7-dimensional world. And so when we look at frequencies like this, then that's not the real part. We have to look like frequencies like this. A frequency, the things a Mihealth does is there is an ingoing and an outgoing frequency which makes a scalar wave. And you can see on this video, one is coming out, one is going down, coming in, and they are at the same moment present. And then you get this picture. This is the information field, the frequency, the scalar wave on which our matter is posted. And we all are made of this particle, this substance. But this is just a small part. This is only a scalar wave which carries a lot of information. when you look at all the different frequencies, then you can see that every frequency has its own color, has its own part with it. And when I saw this nice picture, I thought joy, pleasure is a higher frequency than love. I always thought that love was the highest frequency, but joy, to have humor, to have fun, is even more um, present, is even a more higher frequency than love. And to be enlightened is the highest frequency we can find in this picture. So every emotion, every color, everything has its own frequency, but also has its own information pattern. And it's not only about the frequency. The frequency is just the carrier of the wave, and the information which is on that wave is the most important part. Because if the information on the wave is more, how shall I call it, is distorted, then you have a problem. That's what you can do with a Mihealth. You can restore that information, and I will tell about it later. What the NES Mihealth is doing is it's sending out an electromagnetic field which is filled with fractals, and I will tell something more about it later. And they discovered that this device sends out that tube of electromagnetic fields with that specific information pattern, and it brings the body in a situation so it can heal itself. And there are many applications on this device, which I will tell about later, which are related to all the different structures in our body. And you know, we have a lot of structures in our body. How do those fields look? How do those fields, those informations fields look like? And this is a small video. You cannot hear what this man is telling. I can hear it. But this is how the information field is working. It takes a long time. So it's just a little bit seeing how this works. That information field is continuously going around. And it's filled with what we call fractals. And fractals are not like these animals, these puppets. These are fraggles. Fractals are like this. This is a fractal. A fractal is a continuously repeating pattern with the same information in which you sometimes see different things. So I'm going to show you a little video about a fractal which has no sound, and we will see for not so long, because it's taking along that video, and I will tell something about it. What you will see is every time the same pattern. So there's still the same pattern, but what you will see is different. And well, let's see. What you can see is a specific pattern, and they will zoom in at that specific part on the edge of the pattern, and then you will get the same pattern again. This is how our television screen, how our video games are made of. They are made of fractals. Our computer technology is working a lot with fractals. And every time you see something different, it's the same information pattern. Only we perceive it differently. And when I saw this video first, I thought, well, it's like the sea. It's like the things you find in the universe. And I couldn't believe it was still the same information pattern, which was repeating and repeating and repeating again. And this is just one fractal. And you have thousands, millions of fractals. So you can imagine there's so much. Okay, I will stop it now. It goes on and it goes on. So in developing the NES Mihealth, Peter Fraser and Harry, they thought we have to create fractals, information patterns on electromagnetic waves, which are the same as, for example, muscles or nerves or a liver or an emotion or a thought, even a thought. And they've been creating lots of things, and I will tell about it later. Peter Fraser was a professor in the bioresonance, and he was a professor in electroacupuncture. And he had a lot of information from the old systems, from the TCM, the Chinese medicine. And Harry was just a computer man who knows a lot about how to put it into the computer. So they put it together, and they mixed old and new knowledge together. This is me. And usually when I'm traveling in the car, I use the Mihealth, which is, you can see it, and I put it on a specific frequency with information pattern, which is called air travel. It's just a name. And because when you're traveling at high speeds, your torodial field, which is around you, is continuously distorting. And you've all been in an aeroplane. When you go to a speed of a few hundred kilometers an hour, then your field is behind you, and you can feel it. And sometimes when I fly a lot, then I can feel that my body is already at the destination, but the rest has to come. And that's why I use the Mihealth to restore the field directly. And when I put it on several information patterns, then I'm not so tired. Then I'm restoring directly. So that's a great way in using, for example, this device for myself. You always have to use it for yourself. We did a very fascinating project in an elderly home. We trained all the nurses over there to use the Mihealth for old people with pain, with ulcers, with anxiety. There were some people who were having dementia. So we did a lot of things, and they used the Mihealth for all those specific things, and they scored, of course, what the results were. And it was amazing. We made a film of it, and there were a lot of elderly homes who bought this device to use it now in their elderly home. And where we started, it was 2 years ago. This year I spoke to one of the directors of that elderly home, and she said, we had the best party with 90-year-old people ever this year, because there were the most on the dancing floor, and we couldn't believe our eyes. So that's great. You can use it for a lot of things. This is a little joke. But of course, people are still, they're younger and use a lot of devices. And our children, for example, we have the Mihealth over here. It's lying on the table. And one of my children, and they're not so small like this, but when she's having her period, she takes the Mihealth and she puts on the frequency with the information pattern. She lies it on her belly, and she's feeling instantly that the pain is going down. So I think this is such a great tool to increase your own ability to heal yourself. And of course, you don't need a Mihealth, but sometimes it's easy when you cannot heal it by yourself. You have to use a tool, or you have to have something in which you can change that information pattern and that frequency. And sometimes it's you have problem like this, and you can need you can use that Mihealth, for example, when you're at the balcony hanging and think, oh man, what is the problem? Okay, we go on. Before I'm going to tell more in how you can use it and where are the buttons for, I first want to tell what we did with this Mihealth and what all the functions which are on it. So be seated. There are a lot of basic functions. For example, we had one particular part which is called the physical apps. Let's call them apps. And there are apps for like physical rejuvenation, chronic balance. We have an app for acute balance for muscles, joints. Well, you can read what's on it. So this is all about physical problems in which you can use the right information pattern and the right frequency to restore that problem. But you also have a map with problems which are related to the mental body. And I will talk about where to use ESR and peace and mental clarity for. But for example, Liberator is a frequency which liberates old emotions which are of course in your body field, but also are in your brain, and for example in your brain stem or in specific parts of your brain. And Liberator liberates that part. And of course we have chill and love. Love is related to the 7th chakra. I will talk about it later. Then we have a part which is more about energy. So for example, they made it possible with an app to use, for example, energy, which is the source energy, and restores all the energy of all the other systems. And like recharge is more a frequency with an information pattern, which is bringing the information in the mind. So when you're very tired in your mind and you use recharge, your mind is reloading again. Then you have matrix carrier, which is the frequency of the connective tissue. And you all know our connective tissue is like a nerve system. It's water. Connective tissue is nothing else than water containing information. And the frequency with that information is matrix carrier in the Mihealth. So, and then you have female and male. This is about the hormones. We have energy align to align your energy field. I will try to find some more examples later. They made a map which is called the well-being map, which is filled with things you see, and it's just a word. But the word is already saying where you can use it for. CFI is cold, flu, influenza. So when you have a flu, you can use CFI. When you have problems with your skin, you can use the app Skin. But we all know skin is not only skin. It's the presentation of our borders. And when you have a person who has a lot of problems with bringing their own borders, then you can also use the frequent skin. Fat is not of course not to eliminate fat. That would be very nice, but it's about, if you use the app fat, it's about the liver and the gallbladder, the meridian of the liver and the gallbladder, and the information which is with that is in that part of fat. Then we have the 7 chakras. They all have their own frequency, they all have their own information pattern. And these are the words which are related from the 1st to the 7th chakra. So you have trust, 1st chakra, 2nd chakra, willpower, 3rd chakra, tolerance, 4th, charisma, 5th, honesty, the 6th is contentment, and 7 is of course love. And still, I think these words are not the right words, but you have to find words for the chakras, because the chakras are more than just these words. You can tell so much more about the chakras. I use them a lot. If people have problems in that area, I always try to bring in also the adjustment, the information which is related to that chakra. And I did some very nice tests with Mihealth and GDV. So for example, in meditating, and then I saw that some chakras were not in line, and I used the Mihealth and then made with GDV, of course, a picture afterwards, and I saw that chakra more aligned. And maybe in lesson 3 or in part 3, I will show the pictures from it. Maybe I will. Because there are so many frequencies and so many information patterns, we thought we could make some cycles in which we knew that that cycle would be very good. And what's a cycle? For example, we made a cycle which is taking 24 hours. So you put on your Mihealth and you take the Mihealth for the whole day. And then that cycle, and I will tell in the second part in what's in it, then every meridian which is related to that organ clock will be aligned for about two hours. So when you use it for 24 hours with you, you align and you will adjust your complete meridian system from the beginning till the end. And that's very powerful. For a lot of people who are having a chronic disease, we use this TCM meridian cycle, and it has great results. We also made a cycle which is called radiation. And in that cycle, there are some frequencies in which you can use. For example, when you're having a tumor and you use a lot of chemotherapy, but also therapy, radiotherapy, and you see that radiation is in the tissue, then you can use the cycle radiation. And then, of course, and I will talk about it later, we have a cycle which is called transformation. And I always say transformation is like the computer. It's like a Control-Alt-Delete. It's to bring in all the information to reset the complete chakra system. It takes 27 minutes, and it starts with emotional energy, and then it goes through all the chakras, and then it ends with the wave corrector. So it brings in the information in your torodial field. That's the cycle. To tell a little bit about how to use such a Mihealth, because over here, only in my clinic already, we sold more than 200 of those devices to consumers. And to tell something about where you can use it in is, of course, people who do a lot of sport. They use Mihealth a lot. But also you can use the Mihealth in companies. We have some big companies over here who bought a Mihealth and are using it in their company for their employees. And of course, maybe you say, how do they know how to use it and what to use? What the best part of this is, when we sell Mihealth to consumers, we always relate them back to our clinic. So we give the information, we give education, and we try to bring the consumer, of course, when they have a big problem, to our clinic, and we can do a scan with the Mihealth, but also with the provision, and we can see in how to use it the best in that problem. So it's not only that we sell the Mihealth for the client to restore their own energy field, you also give a lot of information about it. Now I will talk a little bit more about and what's in it. How does it work? Oh, there's one question from Mavilde. Doesn't the Mihealth what is it saying? Doesn't the Mihealth just do a scan like provision or just treat? The Mihealth is doing a treatment. It's restoring the energy pattern, but you can also scan with it. Of course, you can scan with it, but you have to have the software on your computer, and it's the software on your computer which gives you the information. And I will talk in the second part about it. Okay. So if we go on, for example, there are some applications on the Mihealth which you can use when you travel a lot. When you travel a lot on high speeds, for example, in a car or or a lot with a train or with, of course, the aeroplane, you can use some information patterns, which is called, for example, biocell, and there's a 2 behind it. 2 means 2 minutes, so you use biocell for 2 minutes. Biocell is the frequency and the information pattern which is related to the mitochondrion. So there are the nuclear engines in your cells. Air travel is another application which I already said restores your human body field. in 3 minutes. You can use EMF, it's electromagnetic frequencies. So when you fly, for example, a lot on height, then EMF is very important because there's a lot of ionic radiation there. And you just have to restore that field for 3 minutes, maybe 2. Sometimes I use 1 minute, and it's adjusted. Far infrared is also such a frequency, which is when you're above in the sky. So if you add all these numbers, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different applications, and only a few minutes to use, and then your body field restores. That goes very quickly. Mavelda says we use it while we're flying. We use it when flying or after flight. I always, when I fly, and I fly a lot, then I use it during the flight, and I use it after the flight. But during the flight, I use this, what you see now. And after the flight, I use, for example, an energy boost, or when to restore, for example, my rhythm. When I go to the United States and go back, you have something which we call, how do we call it? Who knows? When your epiphyse is doing not so well anymore, you have a problem, and you have to restore your epiphyse. And then I use the TCM, for example, for 1 day, and it's all a jet lag. That's the word. And that's what I'm using afterward. Okay, then we go to the next one. For example, a lot of people over here in Holland do have a problem with the flu. And there's a big flu epidemic over here now, which is coming from the United States, they say. And I use, for example, every day 2 minutes biocell, mitochondrion, 2 minutes matrix carrier, which is about the connective tissue system, 2 minutes of energy boost, 2 minutes of relax. Relax is the frequency of the heart. 2 minutes of CFI, cold, flu, and influenza, and 3 minutes of immunities. And immunities are frequencies which are related to different sorts of parasites, different sorts of bacteria. And I'm still not having the flu. Every people around us is having the flu, but over here, we are in our family, we're still healthy. So you can use it in restoring your body, but also preventing for things to come. There is one application which is called inner peace. And inner peace, relax, is related to the frequency of your heart and also the information pattern of your heart. And we all know our heart is the biggest creator of health in our body. So when you can adjust the information pattern and the frequency of our heart with this specific electromagnetic field, which is called inner peace, then a lot will happen. And I knew this because I used it a lot with animals. If you put on this Mihealth, and you put on the frequency inner peace, and you put it on broadcast, then almost every animal will come to you and something magic will happen. And that was great to see. And I have a video for you at the end about animals, and I will show you something. Then the second part, which is over here, I say to bring in your own inner peace, is to use for 5 minutes mental clarity. Mental clarity is an information pattern which aligns your right and your left hemisphere from your brains to each other. It connects your right and your left hemisphere. So when you use it, you're more clear. You're not only feeling relaxed, but also you're getting very sensitive. Do you know this picture of those two babies? There's a very great story behind this, and I will share that story because this is a real story. There were two babies. There was a twins which was born, and they had to go in two different in a hospital. They were separated, and the left one was almost dying, and one of the nurses decided to bring them back in one cocon. And the moment they were together, one of the sisters put the arm around the other one, and she started to heal again, and they both were well after a few months. So I like that story a lot. Dora said, so you will set the device on these specific stations, inner peace and mental clarity. Yes, you can put, I will show it later. I will show later how you will bring this in the device. That's the second part. Okay, we go on to the next one. That was inner peace. A lot of people have chronic problems, and chronic problems only occur if there's a long time your physical body is trying to restore balance. But sometimes there are not enough things to restore, and then it's getting chronic. And I always say it's almost impossible to get sick. But when your body has to restore and restore, and it's out of compensation anymore, then we get a chronic problem. And then you can use those frequencies and information patterns which are over here, like biocell, 2 minutes, matrix carrier, the source energy. Then we have a very powerful frequency with information pattern, which is called chronicle balance. You take it for 5 minutes. Then, which I told you about inner peace, which is related to the heart, 3 minutes. And then, of course, in a lot of chronic problems, there is something which is emotional, and it's in your physical body. It's in your physical body. It's in your human field, and you have to liberate that emotion. You have to liberate that problem. And with psychotherapy, you can do it with your cognitive um, mind, but you can also use liberator. That's more easy. In sport, we have after sport people who want to do a lot of, and who do a lot of sport, top sport. They have used the Mihealth a lot, and we learned a lot of them. And if you use biocell recharge, and then we have an application which is called after sport, which contains a lot of frequencies and information patterns in it. For example, after sport is filled up with information patterns of the muscles, muscle tissue, the connective tissue. There is bone tissue in it. There is nerve tissue in it. So all the information patterns are after another, they put in one application which we called after sport. And that's the same with general rejuvenation or physical rejuvenation. There are more frequencies in that specific application. And you can put it on, and then for 2 minutes, just like the radio signal, if it's on the right signal, then you have the right transformation, and your body will restore, like always. If you have a problem with only your muscles, you can use biocell, matrix carrier, muscle, and then we have chill. Chill is about restoring emotions general. So it's a great one. I use it a lot for people who have a lot of depression. And of course mental clarity, which I explained already. And of course also a top sport person who travels a lot can use all these applications for traveling. And when a sportsman buys a Mihealth over here, I give him a lot of information in how to use it. And we sometimes, when we have a group, we give a presentation for more people. And sometimes it's just for one. And of course, relax again. And I already told you to focus, you can use matrix carrier, inner peace, mental clarity, and emotional energy. There's a nice story. The Hungarian Olympic teams 3 years ago used all those sport people used the Mihealth, and there were 6 people who were at the Olympic team shooting, trying to shoot as best as they could. But at that time, they didn't have enough Mihealth. So they had, for that team of 6 people, they had 1 Mihealth. And they used this Mihealth and they sat around it together, used the frequencies, and then were shooting. So, of course, that field is not just around the Mihealth in a very short path. There is around a few meters around that Mihealth in which you can use it. So you can also use it in a group. I use it a lot in, for example, when I'm doing yoga and I'm teaching yoga, I always put on the Mihealth on a specific frequency to bring the quietness into the room and to the people. Then you have energy plus. So to have more energy, of course you use the frequency of biocell, which is related to the mitochondrion. You use matrix carrier, which is connected to the connective tissue. You use the source energy to align your energy field. You use energy align, and of course to bring the left and right hemisphere together, you use mental clarity. And so we can go on, and this is a very nice one, and I will talk a little bit more about this one. Over here in Holland, we have a lot of people who have a problem with sleeping. And of course, I know that when you have a problem with sleeping, sometimes there is something wrong with your biochemical level. Sometimes you have a problem with serotonin, which is not made by your body. Sometimes you have a problem with which we call over here butter acid, which is very low in your physical body. But we use the Mihealth also in seeing if people could sleep better when using it. So we made an app which is called Sleep. And to have also maximum sleep during sport is for example, during top sport is very important. So I was one of the test team, and I used the Mihealth a lot with patients who had sleeping problems, and I had great results. And I will show you a little video in which I tested it. And you don't hear what I'm saying, so I will tell you. This is about a sleeping cycle. I will turn it on, and I will put it on the right frequency. I put it on sending mode, and I will keep it at my heart, and then you sleep. It doesn't work like this. That would be very nice. If it worked like this, you put it on and you fall asleep, then I think I will be a millionaire over now because everyone wants to have this device. But you use the frequency before you go to sleep and you put it for 10 minutes next to your heart, and then your heart will do something which brings you more in a sleeping mode. And sometimes when it didn't work, we said to people, put it on the sleeping mode, put it on your app, and then put your Mihealth at your feet, behind the clothes of your how do you call it, your bed, and then put it on and try to sleep, because then the field will go from that torodial field from the knee side, it will go in, and people sleep very good on this frequency and information pattern. We also use NES Mihealth in companies. For example, a lot of people have lower back problems. We use, again, BioCell, and maybe you notice, we always start with BioCell. BioCell is the frequency which is preparing the mitochondrion in our cells to do their job. So I always say start BioCell, and you just have to start for a few minutes. Then we used willpower, which is related to the second chakra, muscles, nerves. ESR. ESR is emotional stress release. It brings down the stress level not only of the person, but also of the tissue. And when you have a lot of pain, then you have to release that problems from your tissue. And then we used after sport for 5 minutes to adjust all the different tissues. I had a colleague of mine who was an MD, and he is having a lot of problem with meditation. And he said, I just use those frequencies in the morning, and then I've done my meditation. So he used matrix carrier, which is connected tissue. He used skin. Skin is your biggest tool in feeling. And when you adjust the frequency of your skin, you are very sensitive. We use inner peace, air travel, and energy align. And of course, you can use all those frequencies on your own way and in your own way. This one we already had. To prevent flu, I already discussed to use BioCell, cold flu influence for 5 minutes, immunities, and ESR, also again to get things out. When you get tired, there are lots of frequencies, and I will go on because I still have 2 minutes to go. Concentration, to concentrate and focusing, doing a good job, you can use this, and it's working. And I already have a lot of experience, so I wouldn't talk like this if I didn't make it my own experience. Animals. I talked about animals, and I will show you a little picture about how to use it with animals. They are developing a specific provision for animals. So you don't have the human picture like I showed you the last time, but you also have, for example, a cat. And this is our cat. And our cat is very grumpy, I always say. Sintje, she's called. And you can see over here, there's the nerve driver. and the nerve driver is related to the nervous system. And always the nerve driver is her priority. And when I use the Mihealth on that frequency with information pattern nerve or inner peace, she is completely sleepy and she is not so grumpy anymore. So it works great. But of course, you can see more with it, and it has. There are some therapists over here who work a lot with horses. I did a lot of scans, but I don't work a lot with horses. Usually, the therapist who treats the horse, she uses the Mihealth, or he uses the Mihealth, and I do the scan because I'm more into what the scan is telling. But in the horse world, it's such a powerful tool to do a scan and to bring in the right information. And if you bring in the right information with animals, they directly react on it. And with Mihealth, I saw that you just have to use the Mihealth for, I think, 45 seconds, sometimes a minute, usually 30 seconds, and then it's okay, because they adjust much quicker than we do. And they're very great pictures. And for example, this horse had a problem with the energy field of the heart, the lung, and the stomach, the spleen and pancreas. So you had to use a little bit more to adjust the problem. And to show you a bit about how I work with that, this is a horse, and I scan the horse, or this is the owner. I scanned the horse with the provision, and then I treated the horse in the field. And what I told you about, you just have to use it for this. For example, this is called mock. This is a very difficult problem with horses, and usually it will not rejuvenate. And I always try to bring in the information to the owners so they can use the Mihealth by themselves. And you can see that if horses they start to yawn, they start to react directly. If you put it on and you put it next to the horse, if it's enough, they walk away. And normally it's 1 minute. I like it very much to treat animals because they react directly. They don't ask questions. They are so much more easy. This is a project which I've done last year with cows, and it was amazing. There were a lot of this is me, the farmer. There were a lot of problems with their toes, with their udders. They had inflammation with their udders, and of course, when they have a problem with their udder, then they don't give a lot of milk anymore. So in the industry over here, they're always trying to find solutions for inflammation because antibiotics are forbidden in Holland. And with this Mihealth, within 2 days, the inflammation was gone. So this farmer, he said, I have to have that thing because he saw it with his own eyes, and he was amazed. And now we're doing the same projects again, and we build in a Mihealth in what they call a milking station. So every cow comes in that milking station, and we made a cycle which is continuously 24 hours going on, and then we are seeing what it is doing on the cows, and we already did a test for 4 months, and the cows with problems they went down to half, of it. So now we are trying to find a way in building it in every, how do you call it, a milking station over here in Holland. So there are so many possibilities with this simple device. And I only talked about the normal frequencies because there are even more possibilities which I will tell about after the break, which are related to all the meridians and to the brain. And to talk a little bit, and afterwards I will tell more about it. What Dora says, how can you scan with that Mihealth? I will tell you about it later. You can scan with it and you can heal with it, and then we have to treat something which we call the ERs. But I will talk about it later. So if you use the transformation cycle, then it should be that maybe you can find something like this. I wish you a break, a good break for 5 minutes. Then and then we see each other again, and maybe you can drink some water or do something that you like. Thank you very much. It looks like I'm back. Hello, hello. I don't know if you can hear me. I can hear nothing. Ah, great. Great if you can hear me. Then I can move on. It took 5 minutes. Okay, let's go on. Sorry, my computer got stuck and I couldn't get in anymore, so I had to reboot everything. But we can go on now. Let's go. Oh, wait. I forgot something. I have to do something else. Sorry. I go to presentation. And then we start with a little video, which is, I think, very nice to see. I hope this will work.
Who doesn't, after all, have a little bit of pain from time to time, whether it's neck pain, maybe your ear hurts, a headache? Well, earlier in the show, we met Sanja, who's been suffering from jaw pain due to TMJ. She was testing out a new device to help alleviate the pain. Dr. Moldovan is here to help explain not only what TMJ is, but how a device like this may help someone like Sanja.
Yeah, you know, Sanja's been suffering for quite a few years for TMJ pain, and it doesn't just stay in the jaw; it actually affects the neck
maybe
muscle.
Oda, you can
exactly.
Also, we can
and the
find
nice
this
thing about
on
this
YouTube.
device
So
is
we
that it
try to
doesn't have
find
any
it on
side
YouTube.
effects, and it really balances out the energy that's
You
really
don't hear
disturbed.
it. I stop it. We go to YouTube. Mihealth. Maybe you can hear it then. Mihealth Doctor Show. Look if I can find it. Yeah, there it is.
Who doesn't, after all, have a little bit of pain from time to time, whether it's neck pain, maybe your ear hurts, a headache? Well, earlier in the show, we met Sanja, who's been suffering from jaw pain due to TMJ.
Yes.
She was testing out a new device to help alleviate the pain. Dr. Moldovan is here to help explain not only what TMJ is, but how a device like this may help someone like Sanja.
Yeah, you know, Sanja's been suffering for quite a few years for TMJ pain, and it doesn't just stay in the jaw, it actually affects the neck muscle.
The entire head and neck.
Exactly. And the nice thing about this device is that it doesn't have any side effects, and it really balances out the energy that's really disturbed when we have pain.
Let's talk about what TMJ is.
So really the TMJ, or the temporomandibular joint, which is a mouthful, is really a joint, and it's the most complex joint in the body. And because it doesn't just move like a knee, but it's free floating. It could go forward and sideways.
That's why you can dislocate it.
Exactly.
That's forward, falls out of its little...
You can do this.
Right? Yeah. So what happens is...
Little anatomy lesson here, huh?
Temporomandibular disorders, what happens is actually there's a stress here in the joint that actually affects not only the disc, which you see here in blue, but also the muscles of the side of the face and the back of the neck, because it's really all connected. So what happens is people that are stressed out, and let's face it, there's so much stress out there today, I think we're going to see more and more TMJ problems in the future.
And so you were saying that this device, which, you know, with pain like this, you're looking to do things that don't have side effects, but the theory and how it works is what again?
It's really based on energy. So, you know, we all know that matter is equals energy, especially today. Traditional Chinese medicine really chose the meridian pathway. So you have pain, for example, in your elbow, and that pain is not, it's a disturbance in the energy field. And what happens is, by using the Mihealth device in that area, you're actually getting increased circulation and you're getting increased hydration in the joint.
Well, what Dr. Moldovan is talking about has been around for years. This is Chinese ancient medicine, the idea of qi and energy moving through your body. So it's neat that you're actually using a device that takes ancient practices into consideration, because we're also Western medicine based. So, like, what types of successes are you having? Can they use it on back pain, leg pain, menstrual cramps? I mean, can this be used on any type of pain, or is this just something for TMJ?
It works on all pain because all pain is the same. It's a disturbance in energy at an atomic level, really. So what it does, it just resets the whole energy field around the body. So I use it for surgical pain. I use it for TMJ pain. I use it for toothache, for example. I use it for after workout, for example. You could use it for that. So it works really well so far.
It is interesting how, more and more studies will look at Eastern medicine, acupuncture for, say, migraine headache pain, and it's superior in many cases to pills and whatnot. And so there's something to looking for alternatives that don't have quote-unquote side effects that we traditionally associate with medicines, et cetera. Sanja, have to ask, how are you feeling?
I feel like I just had an hour massage. It's amazing.
Really?
I came in, I have a lot of tension in my neck and in my jaws. I have extremely strong jaws.
Yeah.
And I've been using this. She's been using it on me, I don't know how long, half an hour, and I just want to curl up and take a nap.
When she's using that, do you feel tingling or anything? Is it?
Because it is a mild electric pulse, right?
Yeah, you get a little zip.
Exactly. So the machine, what happens is it works dual mode. It has a microcurrent that goes through it, and you actually feel like a little tingling. And it also has a pulsed electromagnetic field, kind of like little waves of energy. Okay. And you don't have to use it necessarily on the body.
Okay, now, so my mom is going to be asking me, where can she get this? I mean, so do people buy this? Do you have to go to someone's office to get this done? I mean, where?
That's a great question, and it's nice that this technology I can actually prescribe to a patient. So we can prescribe it, and they could have it at home, learn how to use it, and yes, yeah.
It's worth a shot.
It's great.
Absolutely.
Dr. Moldovan, thank you so much.
Thank you
glad
for
you're
having
feeling better.
me.
So this is a very small video which was in the United States, and it had a lot of exposure to people. And I thought maybe it's nice to see this this video. I want to go through my presentation, and I want to start with the human light system, part 2. And to talk a bit more about what Mihealth does. It rejuvenates. What it does is it removes the energy blockages. And what you already saw in the picture, it allows the information to flow into the human body again. It uses the pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, because what I told you about was that I use it a lot with frequencies and information fields off body. But there's also a function in which you can use it on body, and it's called bioelectric stimulation. And all the frequencies are related to global scaling. I will tell you more about it later. The Mihealth can be put to the computer, and then you can use the Mihealth in scanning. So you can use it with the electrodes which are on it. We did, of course, a very big study to see how it worked. And then the outcome of the study was that after a first treatment, 88 of all the clients we saw, and there were about, well, I think 100 therapists and MDs working with the device, 88% had sufficient benefit after the first Mihealth treatment. And it didn't mean if they were using it off body or on body. So that's a very high percentage. This was the film I showed you. And then the basic principle is, of course, rejuvenation, to bring in the right combination of information and frequencies so that the body can heal itself. What you do is you are unblocking energy pathways. You are working on meridians, on reflex points. You are harmonizing the body field. And it does more than just a physical treatment. It makes your human body more aligned to the light which we shine. The screens on the Mihealth, I already told you about, look like this. So you have cycles, you have physical, you have energy, mind, protection, transformations, which contain the different chakras, well-being, and then you have the ERs. The MR and SMI are not on the Mihealth anymore. They were on the Mihealth, but they are all in the ER screens. And I already told you about all the physical functions which are on the Mihealth, energy functions. And when you look at that Mihealth, you can find some buttons to go back and to return to the previous menu. And you can also use a pin. I can show you over here on the side. Oh, over here, sorry. Over here, there is in the Mihealth, there's a little pin in which you can put everything which you want to put on. But you can also use your finger like Apple devices. Of course, there is a time adjustment on the side over here, and we started with the device and used a lot of time. So when I started with this, I used 5 minutes per application, and then the experience said you don't have to use it that long. It's like a radio. When you have the right signal, you have the right signal, and the body will find the right signal and harmonize in that right frequency and right pattern directly. And this is what you see with animals. If animals adjust very quickly, we do also. So that's why I now usually use 2 minutes maximum, sometimes 3, but you have to find out what the best part for yourself is. When you use on body, then there is an intensity selection which I will tell you more about later. You have a timer, and when you put this on the timer, then the time which you use will, the Mihealth will stop. So if you will put in 2 minutes and there's a clock, when you put in the timer, then it will stop in 2 minutes. When you put it on the hand like this, it will go on and it will go on. And this part, the equal sign, is to put it on body or off body. I will show you later on. So when you put it on body, you can also bring in a percentage, because when you use on body, there is a current coming from the electrodes which are on the Mihealth. I will show you later. And that current is then the information carrier. So I use a lot of body, and then the human body field is the information carrier. But you can also use the electrodes and use the current as an information carrier. And a lot of people think nothing is happening when you put it on broadcast. So sometimes I use the current to just let them feel that something is happening and they can hear it also. Oh, of course, this one, can I go back? Yes. This gray button, if you put it on and you want to put out earlier, you give a double click and then you put it out again. Go to the next one. I already told you, you can use it on body or off body. Off body is the broadcast mode. And there is a difference between on and off body in the intensity. So I always say when you want to soothe or calm the tissue, you use off body. When you want to energize the tissue, for example with chronic problems, you use on body, and you use the electrodes. We'll put this one off so you don't have to see me. Then we have, of course, extra things which come when you use it on body or off body, and you can read it over here. Of course, a lot of infants and stressed clients don't want to have a lot of current on their skin, so then you also use off body. Also with animals, you never use on body on animals because the current will frighten them. And this is how it looks if you use it on body. I already said sometimes when you want to reinforce the belief system of the client, I use on body. I sometimes use on body when I work on dermatomes, but then you have to know about dermatomes and you have to know where to put the Mihealth. If you don't know it, then it's not an issue. If you put this Mihealth on the body and the current is coming, then there is a specific sound because of the frequency, and the frequency will change during the application, so people will hear different sounds. And there are also very small electrodes, and then these you can use on very small points like the outer area of your teeth or meridian points, or you can use it in specific points in which those big electrodes are too big to use. If you push the button of the equal sign, it gives this broadcast sign, and if this broadcast sign is on, then it will only broadcast. It will not use the electrodes. And this is what I showed already. It brings in broadcast mode an electromagnetic field with fractals. Well, this is a little bit information. Because of the time, I will skip it. It's about the matrix. It's about the connective tissue. That our connective tissue is filled with water, and it's like a second, or maybe the first nervous system which we use, and which brings all the information to the cells in where the processes work. So you can read it later on. And of course, I'm doing a lot of work with a teacher over here in DNA, and there's also a lot of information on the DNA which we can change and bring more in harmony on the genes with Mihealth. When you use on body, you can bring in the percentage of the voltage to higher. First of all, Mihealth, so it uses sound frequencies. No, it doesn't use sound frequencies. It uses frequencies which, when you bring the electrode on the skin, then the skin will start to bring in a noise. So the voltage brings a vibration on the skin. That's what you hear. Yes? Okay. If you use it on body, then you can increase the voltage. The voltage is about the, the energy which is getting in. And when you give a high voltage, you get a greater sense. And some people are very sensitive, so you use normally 5 to 10%. But when the tissue is not sensitive anymore, for example, with a chronic problem, a chronic pain, you have to use a bigger percentage to let people feel that the voltage, that the current is getting in. So you always use the percentage which is related to that person, and don't go too high, because then of course the current will hurt the people. You can also bring in a bigger intensity. So when you're working on body and when you're working with chronic problems and people don't feel it very good, I use, for example, not number 1, but I use an intensity of 5. So there are 5 more. There is a current going with a frequency which is 5 times bigger than when you put it on 1. 5 times more waves getting into the tissue than when you use 1. Of course, this is only useful when you use it on body. When you use off body, then you can't bring in a different intensity because you don't work with current. So normally you put it in 1. When you think, well, you have to have a little bit more, I usually use 3, and when someone is not feeling anything anymore, then I use 5. When you use it on body, then you will feel on specific areas of the skin that it gets sticky. And we always say, when you get to sticky parts of the skin, then you know there is a blockage of energy, and you stay over there and push your Mihealth over that area from left to right, and maybe make a cross over it until the sticky area is gone. This is what I told you about. There's a frequency coming out, and they use global scaling, and this is a fractal. It's a repeating, you can see it over here, it's a repeating signal which is repeating and repeating and repeating. And that specific fractal is designed for example, bone tissue, or muscle tissue, or nerve tissue, or feelings, or even thoughts, or meridians. I will talk about it later. And of course, it's about your experience. You can do a lot of things with that Mihealth when you're working on body. You can use techniques like general brushing, or going over the meridians, or cross brushing, or using asymmetrical or symmetric areas. So when you have a shoulder pain on your right, you can treat the left shoulder, and it can relate to the right shoulder. So you can do whatever you want. There's a lot of information about it in the teaching about the Mihealth in the course. And I only want to show you this picture, that when you use physical rejuvenation, it's not only one frequency. It's a frequency which consists the energy, the information pattern of the skin driver, of the energy field of the skin. It has the energy field of the bone in it. It has the energy field of the muscle in it. And it has, of course, a NES wave corrector, so that when you bring in the right information, it also restores the wave and it stays in the wave. So there are more frequencies, there are more information patterns in just one app which you use. Mathilde, her question is, when you use it off body, what's the maximum distance? There are, what I usually say is, we tested it about 1 meter, 1 meter from a person, and the person is reacting. When I'm when I'm with the horses, and the horses are 10 meters away, and I put on the device on how do you call it, inner peace, they directly come to you. So I think the distance is much further, but we're using very small electromagnetic fields in which we don't have the devices to measure it for a bigger distance. But of course, when you put it on, it's working. And this is what I shouldn't say, but I will say it. I also used the Mihealth already with an iPad, and I used it with the iPad to a patient which was in a different part of Holland, and it worked. So we can use the fields which are available. I can't say this as a teacher because it's not evident. Yes, a very long distance. You can use it for a very long distance. This is a bit technical, but I put a slide in to show you a little bit that every app, like Chronicle Balance, like Acute Balance, like Muscle, will have more things in it than just one frequency and one information pattern. Margaret, can you use it on places? I mean, can you use it to work the energy at home or office? Yes, of course, you can. You can. You can use it everywhere. And you're not silly. No one is silly. Of course, when you want to do more with it, it's so good to have the system to bring in more information, and then you have to use also the computer system. So you can use the Mihealth only. I use it only if I sell the Mihealth to clients, but for yourself as a therapist, it's very good to have all the information from the system. And then you have to have the total wellness system on your computer. I will tell more about it. And of course, you can use it with BioWell. BioWell also brings in information in which energy field you have to restore. And then you have to use the right app. This is what I told you about radiation. There's a formula in it which says polarity. It will reset your polarity, minus and plus. It will do a lot of healing in the spleen and do a lot of healing in the heart. And the runtime of this cycle is 34 minutes. It's working only off body. Dora, you had a question. You said in the first lecture that you might be able to purchase the Mihealth through BioWell. Is this still so? Well, I talked with Kirill that he could put the Mihealth and all the things on his website, and he's still working on that. And I think that that it will be available apart from the system soon. Okay. This is where I told you already about. Female, for example, is an application in which you can increase the sexual power of a girl, and male is more to increase the testosterone power of the man. And sometimes I use female with men, so if they have too much testosterone, I use female. This is about the China's cycle, TCM. It takes 24 hours, and what you see is that every meridian has its own time in which it's active and when it's resting. And in 2 hours, every time, the different organs are reset again. So, for example, at this time, our kidney is active, and then the meridian of the kidney, EI5 and bladder, and the heart-lung meridian is being restored. So at every time of the day, this Chinese cycle will reset the meridian of the eye of the organs. Very great cycle. This is what I told you already about, and there are some extra things on the protection map, which brings something about cell phone radiation. If people have a lot of radiation from their cell phone, they can use this one. And there's also computer radiation. Some people are having problems with that. Microwave, of course. This is the chakra cycle, and there's the transformation cycle, which brings in all them together. And this is what I told you about the transformation cycle. 27 minutes. It starts with 7 minutes emotional energy, and then every part of the chakras will come, and it ends with, of course, the wave corrector. This is the well-being. Head, for example, is a specific app for migraine and for headache. This one is for large intestine problems, digestion. This is for allergies of food. This is the sleep cycle, which I told you about, and the aging is also about to getting away wrinkles. It's used a lot over here in beauty salons, beauty stores. Hearing is about tinnitus and hearing problems. So there is so much on it. And then we get the ER screens. If you have the software, then you can do a scan, and it brings you which systems you have to bring in to a priority. So this ER screen is on the software, and then it says, for example, with the scan, you have to do ER23, ER7, and ER17. And if you know this, then you use the Mihealth on that specific part of the body with ER7. And what's ER7? Because that's on your Mihealth, then you put in ER7, and it's 2 minutes with this specific app. And ER7 is related to the greater sciatic nerve, and it's related to a meridian which is called EI2, and it's too far to talk about this. But every energetic rejuvenator resets the tissue which is related to the scan you made. And over here you see all the meridians, and over here you see also the related part of the brain. For example, the brainstem hologram, or the cortex hologram, or the cerebral medulla hologram. And so it's not only the meridian which you reset, but it's also the the part of the brain which is related to that meridian which you reset. And it's all related to the tissue which is over here and over here. And these are the first 30, and then you have the next, and nowadays there are 70 ERs. So there is so much on this device you can use. It's amazing. And I like it very much. And when you have the scan, you can also show visible how the energy moves into the body. You can show it to your client, and you can tell something about the meridians if you know something about that. So to use the Mihealth is not only for the physical part, it's also for well-being, it's also for energy work, it's even for chakras, and yeah, you can use it for everything, especially for yourself. I use it a lot for myself and for my family, and of course I use it for my patients. And this one I put in because I know you have a lot of questions, and if you have any questions about this part, please mail me and I will give you more answers. If you want to know more about sales and where to buy and how to buy, for this moment you could use the email address of Sandra Bakker, and she can give you all the information in where to buy it if you are from a specific country, and we can help you in finding the right address. Thank you very much in listening, and it's just a small part, but I hope it's enough. I will put it my face again. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Namaste. Thank you. Namaste. And please bring the message to everyone. Ciao.